The number one mistake made when trying to coach someone in life or business, I'm talking about one-on-one coaching, like someone needs to improve in a certain area. This is the biggest mistake that you're making or someone on your team is making when you're trying to coach someone to high performance. I'm going to give that to you in this video along with a two-step framework on how to actually go through the tough conversation of coaching someone, maybe holding them accountable to something, or just addressing them directly that their performance is not meeting expectations or that perhaps they need to improve in certain areas. So I know this from experience after scaling our own business from 0 to almost $20 million in annual recurring revenue in just 4 years with almost 50 full-time W-2 employees. We've been through a lot of coaching conversations because you can add people to your team, whether they're freelancers or outsourced or in-house, right? You can add members to your team. Yeah, that's the easy part. The hard part is what happens after you add someone to your team and they actually need to be redirected, right? So the number one mistake is this. It's thinking that you have to coach them. I know it sounds crazy, but the biggest mistake when we think of like a coach, we think of like a football coach, right? We think of someone who's like, from the sideline going, you gotta do X, and then getting them in the huddle and going, here's what we need to do, here's what we need to do, here's what we need to do, right? Like a Super Bowl winning coach, like all this aggression and all this energy. But that is like the worst way to coach someone, right? To coach someone, the biggest mistake is thinking that you have to coach them. I want to ask you a question. Don't you think that if this is an intelligent person, don't you think they already know what they need to improve on? So the biggest insight is to actually flip the script, right? And I'm going to show you in this two-step process, how do you flip the script and let them coach themselves through the questions that you ask in this coaching relationship, right? So before I teach you those two rules, let's start with the two steps. Let's start with some ground rules, okay? The first ground rule is to always communicate the why first before you ever coach anyone on anything. The why is this important? What is the outcome tied to this? What's the severity if we don't accomplish X, whatever the thing is that you need to coach someone on that they need to improve on, right? So you always want to start with the why. The worst thing to do is to just go right into what they need to improve on, right? That's, again, that traditional coach relationship, which doesn't work, okay? It just creates a lot of stress and anxiety in the person. It's just needless. The second rule, before I bring you through the two steps, is for every 3 improvements, my coach Cameron always tells me this, for every 3 improvements, you got to give them 3 compliments. So as soon as you think that someone needs to improve on 3 things, stop, create a list of 3 things they're doing right. Because if the person is not receptive to any of the feedback, okay, that you're about to give them, receptiveness happens when they feel good, not when they feel criticized, right? So whenever you want to give 3 improvements to someone, stop yourself and replace that with 3 compliments first. And you're going to say your 3 compliments first. I'll explain in a second. You're going to explain those 3 compliments first before you give 3 pieces of feedback, okay? And it has to marry up. Every piece of feedback requires 1 compliment, right? And then the third piece is to understand that the leader always must speak last, right? Your job is to not talk until we have identified, okay, until they have identified what needs to be improved on. All right, so let's go through this 2-step process, super simple, for you to improve the way you coach anyone to high performance, okay? The first step is very simple. Always start, okay, I'm gonna say this slowly, always start with letting them assess themselves with these 2 questions, all right? So this is step 1. Always start a coaching relationship letting them assess themselves, okay? So the first question that you can ask, which is a positive oriented question, is what do you think went well with X? What do you think went well with X? What do you think went well with X, right? So you start the conversation by asking, what do you think went well with X? Let them talk, right? Write it down, write it down. Just only stop when they've ran out of things to say. Then the second question is, what do you think could have been improved on with X, right? So what do you think could have been done better with X is another way to frame it. What do you think could have been done better? What do you think you could have improved on? Notice I'm not saying, what do you think you did wrong with X? I'm saying, what do you think you could have improved on or done better? And then again, you're not going to continue until they have given you everything, right? Now and only now can you proceed to step 2 in the coaching relationship, and that's where you give them feedback, okay? Now, oftentimes, what they say they thought they did good at and what they said they thought they could have improved on is going to be very similar to what you would have told them in the first place, if they're self-aware, right? So sometimes the stuff on your list you're going to go through the same process in step 2. When you give them feedback, you're going to start with the things you thought they did well, 3 things. Then you're going to end with 3 things that you think they can improve on, right? But most times your stuff on your list of 3 compliments or 3 improvements is going to just match up with what they already told you, right? So you can say, yeah, I agree with you on bullet 1, what you did good, bullet 2, what you did good. One thing I would add is bullet 3, I thought that you did really great with X. Makes sense? Okay, great. Now let me give you my 3 pieces of feedback. I agreed with number 1. I thought you could have communicated, blah, 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 right? And then, I thought you could have managed time better. I thought you could have done whatever it is, whatever your list of stuff is as improvements, right? And you're going to agree with some of the stuff that they'll say, right? And then you're going to, again, add whatever they didn't include as your additional feedback. I would just add in number 3 is I would have said you could have also improved on doing Y, right? And so that is the full comprehensive framework of coaching someone, right? So again, you let them tell themselves what they thought they did good and could improve on. Then you go through the same process. Those are the first 2 steps, following the rules that I gave you, right? And then at the end, you're always looking for a improvement plan, right? For everyone, for yourself first, okay? So we'll explain how to do this. Whenever you're trying to get someone to improve on something, you want to start with yourself. What can I improve on? How can I be better, right? So you always want to start with, okay, so let's start with me as the next steps, right? What are some things I could do better? Well, I could communicate better. I could do this better. So you create a list for yourself, and then you ask them, okay, what do you think your next steps would be as things that we can each improve on together, right? Boom, meeting's done. You each have things that you can each improve on, right? And you followed this coaching model that will make every conversation you have with someone around improving their performance just work way easier. So I hope you found this video valuable. If you did, please make sure you you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video. Leave me a comment below for more questions you have or videos you want me to make topics on. That's all I got. My job is to help you turn decades into days with whatever it is you're trying to grow in your life, your business, your freedom, whatever it is. That's what this channel is here for, and I hope that this coaching explainer video helps you on your path to growth. So stay great, and I will talk to you soon. See you later.